Hi everyone, welcome back. We are going to do the second part of our story Ace, which is about our little pig. We've read chapter 1 and chapter 2 and we're just about to read chapter 3. Chapter 3 is called A Pig and a Goat. Okay, I hope you can understand something that I'm going to say, thought Ace. Pigs are permanently hungry anyway. And he'd not had a mouthful to eat since early that morning, long before the farmer had set out for market. Now he was ravenous, and he let out a short but piercing squeal. Farmer Tubbs had not kept pigs all his working life without learning that a squeal like that meant either fury or fear or hunger. And since the piglet looked neither angry nor afraid, he got the message and hurried out to fetch food. "He's not as stupid as he looks," said Ace out loud. "He'd have a job to be," said a voice. Ace spun round to see, standing in the gloom at the far side of the loose box, a strange figure. It was covered in long greyish hair that hung down its sides like a curtain, and it wore a grey beard and a pair of sharp-looking curved horns. The goat walked forward into the light and stood looking down at the piglet. "What's your name?" she said. "Ace, Ace of Clubs." "Funny sort of name," said the goat. "How did you get that?" Ace turned to show his left side. "It's because of this mark on me," he said. "It's something to do with some game that humans play, called cards." "How do you know that?" said the goat. "He told me. Ted Tubbs told me." "Ted Tubbs? Is that his name? How do you know it is?" Ace felt like saying, "Why must you ask so many questions?" as his mother had, but the goat with the sixth sense that animals have continued. "I hope you'll forgive me for asking so many questions, but I'm curious to know how you could possibly understand what the man says." The look in her golden eyes was kindly and mild. "I just do," said Ace. "I don't know how. I thought all animals did, but my mother said no pig ever had." "Nor goats either," said the goat. "Nor cow, nor sheep, nor horse, nor hen, to the best of my knowledge. I've lived here all my life, all 15 years of it, and the only words he says that I can recognise is my name." "What's that?" "Nanny." Just then Farmer Tubbs opened the door and came in carrying a bucket of pig swill. He poured it into a trough in the corner of the loose box and stood watching approvingly as Ace tucked into it. "I'll tell you summat, Nanny," he said, patting the old goat's hairy back. "You looking at a most extraordinary pig there. Not just his marking, I don't mean. I'll swear a blind that pig do understand what I do say to him." He waited till Ace had licked the trough clean and turned to face him, and then he said, "Now then, young Ace, allow me to introduce you. This is Nanny, and I'm putting you in with her so she can keep an eye on you and teach you a thing or two. She brought up ever so many kids, Nanny has, and there ain't much she don't know. She'll be company for you, stop you feeling lonely." "What was he on about?" said Nanny, when the farmer had gone. "I heard my name a couple of times, but the rest was just the usual gabble." "He said you were very wise," said Ace. "I wasn't born yesterday." "And he said he was leaving me in here with you. I hope you don't mind." "Not a bit," said Nanny. "You'll be company for me. Stop me feeling lonely." She pulled a wisp of hay out of the crib and munched it thoughtfully. "How come you never went to market this morning then?" she said. "I looked out and saw a bunch of pigs going off in the truck. Why did he leave you behind?" "He asked me if I wanted to go, said Ace, and I said no. You mean to tell me that as well as you being able to understand the man, what did you call him? Ted Tubbs. As well as you understanding Ted Tubbs, he can understand what you say. Only 3 things, said Ace. 1 grunt means no, 2 grunts means yes, and a sharpish squeal means fetch food. I think he's learned those all right. Going to teach him any more? Well, I don't know really. I suppose I could increase the grunts, 3 for this and 4 for that and so on. But I don't know if he could cope with it. What do you think, Nanny? Might be beyond him, said Nanny. He's not all that bright. Might be better to show him what you want. Like what? Well, what do you fancy doing? Ace thought. I wouldn't mind having a walk round the farm, he said. You know, have a good look at everything. Meet all the other animals. I've been stuck in a sty all my life so far, and now I'm shut up here. All right, said Nanny. So you'd like to get out of this loose box. I can't open the door. You can't open the door. He can. I can't tell him to open it. You can. By showing him what you want. How? Listen, said Nanny, and she outlined a simple plan. When Farmer Tubbs next opened the half door of the loose box and came in to fill Nanny's crib with hay for the night, the old goat bleated. To him it was just a bleat. To Ace she was saying, Go on, try it now. Ace trotted up behind the farmer as he reached up to the crib and butted him in the back of the leg with his snout. What's up with you, Ace? Said Farmer Tubbs. And for answer the piglet went to the door which the farmer had closed behind him and butted it hard several times so that it shook on its hinges. Here he is. You want me to open it? 2 grunts. Why? Ace marched round the box a couple of times, came back to the door and butted it again. You want to go for a walk, said Farmer Tubbs. Well, I never. Did you ever? What next? Do you want me to come with you? 1 grunt. Oh, all right then. But you come back when I calls you, understand? And reassured by the affirmative answer, the farmer opened the door. And he will, he said to Nanny. You don't understand what I'm saying because you're not all that bright. But that Ace, why, he can do everything bar talk. I suppose you could say he's too clever for words. Okay, that's chapter 3. Chapter 4, let's see how much we've got. Okay. Oh gosh, it's quite long, but that's okay. So, chapter 4 is called A Pig and a Cat. It's got a little illustration there. Okay, let's find out to see if the pig, Ace, goes round the farm. Farmer Tubbs spent a worried time talking anxiously to himself as he went about his chores. You're a fool, Ted Tubbs, he said. Pigs is for pigsties, not to be let go wandering about whenever they fancies. Don't like to follow him around. Looks like I don't trust him. Whoever heard of trusting a pig? I need my brain seeing too. But then he might hurt himself. He might run away. He might get lost. Worth a bit of money, a pig that size is. But 'tisn't the value, if I'm honest. I've got real fond of that pig. He kept looking at his watch, forcing himself to allow a full hour to pass. And when it had, he went and stood outside the loose box, half hoping that the pig would have made his own way back and be waiting there, safe and sound. But there was no sign of Ace. Behind him there was a rattle as Nanny put her 4 feet up on top of the half door and peered out. Right then, Nanny, said Farmer Tubbs. He's had long enough. It'll be dark afore long. We'll fetch him back, shall us?" And he called, "Ace!" He waited a minute or two, but the piglet did not appear. "Coo, coo, 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 come on then," shouted Farmer Tubbs. The sounds he always made to call cows or sheep or chickens, but though there was some distant mooing and bleating in answer, and a few old hens came scuttling hopefully across the yard, Ace still did not come. "You'm a fool, Teb Tubbs," said the farmer. "What am I thinking of? There's only one proper way to get him back." And he cupped his hands to his mouth and took a deep breath and bellowed the summons that all pigmen have always used over the ages to bring their errant charges hurrying home, curling their tails behind him. "Pig, pig, pig, pig! Pig, 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 pig!" roared Farmer Tubbs, and in half a moment there was a distant rattle of little trotters, and Ace came in sight, galloping as hard as he could go with that curious rocking horse action that pigs have. "What did I tell you?" said Farmer Tubbs triumphantly to Nanny, but inwardly he heaved a sigh of relief as he opened the door and let in the puffing, panting Ace of Clubs. "Good boy," he said, patting the piglet. "Just like you were a dog," he thought. "Good boy, Ace." But in reply there was only a rather breathless but nonetheless urgent squeal, so off he hastened to fetch food. When the farmer and the food had finally disappeared, Nanny said, "How did you get on?" "I had a lovely time," said Ace. "I made a speech to the sheep, had a conversation with the cows, a discussion with the ducks, a gossip with the geese, and a chat to the chickens. And by the way, you were right, Nanny. I asked all the different sorts of animals if they could understand what Ted Tubbs says to them, and they couldn't. They know some things like to come when he calls them, but that's about all." "The cows would know their names, I'm sure," said Nanny. "Oh yes, they did. Called after flowers mostly, they are. Buttercup, daisy, primrose, that sort of thing. But I tell you a funny thing, Nanny. All the sheep have the same name." "Really?" "Yes, I said to one of them, 'What's your name?' and she said, 'Barbara.' But when I said to the next one, 'And what's your name?' the answer was, 'Barbara.' I asked all of them in turn, and they all said, 'Barbara.'" "How funny," said Nanny, straight-faced. "Wasn't it?" said Ace. He yawned hugely and snuggled down in the straw. "Good night then, Ace," said the old goat. "Sleep tight, mind the fleas don't bite." But the only reply was a snore. Full-stomached and tired out after all his exploring, for his legs were rather short, Ace slept soundly that night. When he woke, it was bright morning, and the low, early sun was streaming in over the half-door. Ace stood up and shook himself. Under the wooden crib Nanny lay, her jaws going round rhythmically. "Morning, Nanny," said Ace. "She can't answer," said a voice. Looking up, Ace saw that there was a cat sitting atop of the crib. It was a large white cat with one yellow eye and one green one. "Why not?" "Because she's cudding," said the cat. "Chewing the cud. You're not supposed to talk with your mouth full. Didn't your mother tell you?" "No," said Ace. "Why not?" he asked. "It's rude," said the cat. At that moment Nanny swallowed noisily and got to her feet. "Don't tease the lad, Clarence," she said. "He's only young." And to Ace she said, "This is an old friend of mine. His name is Clarence." "How do you do?" said Ace. "Pretty well, considering," said the cat. "Considering what?" The cat looked narrowly at him. "MYOB," he said. "What does that mean?" "Mind your own business." Clarence, said Nanny. Don't mind him, she went on to the piglet. It's just his manner. He doesn't mean any harm. It's N-S-O-M-N, said Ace. What does that mean? Asked Clarence. No skin off my nose. Bit clever, aren't you? What do they call you? Ace of Clubs. The white cat jumped easily down from the crib and walked slowly around the piglet. First he inspected Ace's right, white side with his left, yellow eye, and then the left, marked side with his right, green eye. I've seen that odd black shape somewhere before, he said. It's something to do with a game, the farmer said Ace. With some cards. Oh, yes, that's it, said Clarence. He sits down and lays all these bits of card out in rows. I've watched him. He lays them out on the table, some with black marks and some with red and some with pictures. 52 of them there are, said Ace. Spades, hearts, diamonds and clubs. Funny though, isn't it? I thought you played games with other people. I used to with my brothers and sisters, chasing games, tag, that sort of thing. Strange for him to play on his own. He must have a lot of patience. Wait a minute, young know-all, said Clarence. Are you telling me you've been inside the farmhouse? Oh, no. Then how come you know all this stuff about 52 cards and hearts and clubs and all that? He told me. Ted Tubbs told me. Ted Tubbs? That's the man's name, Clarence, said Nanny. You and I have never known what he's called, but Ace found out. You see, he understands his language. Do you mean to tell me, said Clarence, that you can understand every word that what's his name? Ted says to you? Yes, said Ace. I thought that all animals could, but it seems I'm a freak. You'll have to watch out, Clarence, said Nanny. Next thing you know, you won't be the only one sitting in a comfy chair in the nice warm farmhouse watching Ted play cards. Ace will be in there too. Clarence gave a loud meow of amusement. Not for long, he said. Young know-all wouldn't take much time to blot his copybook. What do you mean? Said Ace. Only cats and dogs are allowed indoors, because only they can be house-trained. What does that mean? With a look of disdain on his face, Clarence indicated a large lump of pig dung in the straw. You can't go doing that on the carpet, he said. Or the other. Why not? It's rude. Didn't your mother tell you? Humans don't mind if you do it outside, but indoors it's simply not done. We cats bury that sort of thing anyway. Oh, said Ace. Does Ted do it outside then? No, said Clarence. He has a special little room with a kind of white chair with a hole in it. He's almost as clean as a cat, said Nanny. That would be difficult, said Clarence smugly, and he leapt neatly onto the top of the half door and was gone. Ace thought all about this. Nanny, he asked, are you house-trained? Nanny gave a loud bleat of laughter. Not likely, she said. A goat's got to do what a goat's got to do. Well, do you think I could be? I wouldn't mind seeing what it's like inside Ted's house. Do you think I could train myself? Ace, said Nanny, the more I see of you, the more I think you could do most things, except fly. Okay, that's the end of chapter 4. We have got chapter 5 next, which is called A Pig with a Plan. So that will be my next video. Join us then and we will find out what happens next. Bye-bye.